best villain team conclusion ever.
Pokemon! 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 Pokemon!
Hello everyone, I'm Dustin Benzel, and welcome to another Pokemon XY&Z anime discussion. In this particular video, we're going to go ahead and talk about the conclusion for the Team Flare Climax. So hopefully you saw my previous video in regards to this episode. This episode is the conclusion and the finale of the XY&Z Team Flare arc conclusion. So of course, there is that episode coming up in regards to Team Flare, at least Zerosic, but that's just some sort of side story, so it's not quite relevant, but of course this is the conclusion. So anyway, let's jump right into this, and we'll do a quick synopsis, and then I'll go over the thoughts and everything. We have the gym leaders and everyone, Diantha, Champion Steven Stone, Sycamore, Blaziken Mask, everyone except Serena, Marin, and Bonnie. They're like trying to protect themselves, and the Anastar, they're basically the second line of defense in case the first line fails, basically, if you want to look at it like that. So of course we have them all trying to get Ash and Alon to the core, or where the water shuriken is, so they can get to Chespy. And then, of course, we get these cool scenes of the gym leaders helping Ash and Alon further progress, and we get some really nice moments in regards to that. Ash mentions all the gym leaders except Wolfric, which I found hilarious. You know, he was like saying like Corinna, or well, not Corinna, but you know the Japanese names or whatever. You know, Viola, Grant. Valerie is what I meant, and then Grant, Viola, and the other ones, you know, and it's funny that Wolfric just blasted off, and then Ash is like just pretending to ignore them or whatever. Ramos even, you know, it's still very interesting. So then we get to this like final shot of trying to get to the core, get inside the core of the Megalith Zygarde entity, object thing, or whatever you want to call it. And then we get like this shots of pretty much everyone involved going EK or go, you know, or whatever. So I thought that was really nice. Everyone was saying that, and then they finally broke through, and then they basically went through, and then they saved Chespy. Ash was there trying to make sure that Alon got to Chespy, because it was more about Alon saving Chespy than Ash saving Chespy, which was fine. I would have preferred it being mostly about Ash, but I understand why they went the way that they did with Alon, because Alon has history with Chespy, so of course that's why it makes sense in regards to that. So of course, after they save Chespy, it seems like the Zygarde Megalith has been deactivated for the most part, and they try to attack it, but then it just comes back up, and we find out that it was because Lysander is back, and I kind of mentioned this in the previous video, you know, in my thoughts in regards to Lysander jumping off the prism tower, basically, and what looked like to be a suicide attempt of some sort or whatever, but it wasn't actually a suicide attempt, but I can definitely see how it would look like that from if Lysander didn't come back. You would have to probably take what you saw in Lysander jumping off the prism tower as a suicide attempt, and that's very dark for Pokemon. I know Digimon had the whole suicidal thoughts and tendencies or whatever in like the third season or whatever the one it is with where one of the characters made his own Digimon basically, and it came I can't quite remember what their names are, but yeah, that one was a very dark season of Digimon. So it's like Pokemon has never gotten quite that dark, but yeah, someone just jumping off a prism tower willingly when there is a threat to life in there is very dark in regards to that. And it kind of almost gets darker at the end of the episode. So, of course, So then they get like blasted around because Lysander is like charging up the Zygarde megalith thing, and everyone's like being blasted to smithereens. And then the blue Zygarde and Puny Chan come together and become Zygarde complete. And then we get like this speech in regards to Lysander, and Lysander's like, "You have no right. After all this time, after all everything that's done, you have no right to try and stop me," basically. But then Zygarde complete, Puny Chan, or however you want to look at it, was like, "Well, I may not have a right, but these people do, and I speak for them, or I'm on their side because, Bonnie, the human, had protected them, and it was just basically trying to return the favor and everything." So that's what happened. So then, after a while, we get to a point where Lysander has his arm reached out with his device that's controlling the megalith. Then Ash and Alon have their Pokemon blast the thing off of Lysander's arm. And then basically that's the end of the megalith or whatever. And then we got Zygarde complete, basically obliterating Lysander pretty much, as well with the megalith, the remains of the megalith, and with like Core Enforcer, that new move that was introduced recently. We actually saw it in the anime, even though we won't be able to quite play with it until Sun and Moon come out. So yeah, thank you for that, Game Freak, for doing that. So then, of course, it uses Core Enforcer, which I think is Zygarde Complete's signature move. It's in the shape of the Z and a Z, and it just destroys everything. Then Zygarde Complete removes all the vines in the city, and then thanks Bonnie, and then says goodbye in regards to that, and then everyone's like recovering. They're like, "Yeah, we're done. We don't have to worry about Team Flare anymore for right now, or ever, hopefully." And then the episode basically ends. And as I said, this was the best team villainous team conclusion ever, because I think I've already discussed this before in the other teams, and even how this was structured, it was already going to be the best villainous team conclusion ever. Because if we go through, Team Rocket really didn't do anything, and all we had was Jesse, James, and Meowth, so we didn't really have much of an antagonistic force with Team Rocket, even within second generation, where more of Team Rocket, less of Jesse, James, and Meowth, was kind of had some focal moments at certain points. Professor Namba and the Lugia and the World Islands aspect. Silver, not Silver, Richie came back in that particular moment. But there wasn't really any antagonistic force in regards to that. Then we get Team Magma and Team Aqua, and you can kind of see that there was some build-up. There was Team Magma and Team Aqua episodes, but it concluded horribly. I guess simply because it was just so ridiculous with the orbs controlling the Pokemon, overpowered Pikachu, and the fact that it concluded really quickly probably is also why third generation didn't work. But it was something, at least in comparison to like Team Rocket and first and second generation. So then, of course, we move into fourth generation, which is, I believe, the second best evil team conclusion. We actually got a story. We had Team Galactic doing their own stuff, trying to steal the Adamant Orb and the Griseous Orb. And then we had the Mesprit, Uxie, and Azelf storylines combined with that. And then basically we got some sort of conclusion in regards to that with Cyrus going into the vortex of his new world and closing, and everyone's like, "No, you can't survive in the vacuum of space," basically, or whatever. And that was basically the end, or whatever. And that was a really nice episode or conclusion, because we had Mesprit with Dawn, Zelf with Ash, and Uxie with Brock, and it seemed like a little bit of them controlling those pixie Pokemon. We had the red chain in regards to the anime. The only thing I think was missing was Giratina. I think it was just like Palkia and Dialga or whatever, or the powers and the pixies. So yeah, it was very an interesting conclusion or whatever. So then we probably go into probably technically at this point would be the third best team villain conclusion, only better than Magma and Aqua, simply because they actually devoted a lot of time in regards to Team Plasma, but it was still not better than Team Galactic. I mean, we sure had moments with in and stuff or whatever, but I think the thing that reason why I like the fourth conclusion or the fourth gen better is because it was just about Reshiram and trying to get that apart, and they were trying to like mix the first games with these Black, White, and 2 with In not being an antagonistic role, but more of an protagonist type format. Geetus and everything. It's like, there were some great moments. I had Charizard, but I just don't think that the conclusion ended properly. It was just like, well, we have all these episodes in regard to Team Plasma here. Let's just have some sort of conclusion or whatever. And like I said, there were some nice moments, but I don't think it was better than Team Galactic after all or whatever. So that's just my thoughts. And then we come into sixth generation, where starting with the XY&Z, we had Team Flare peppered throughout the entire series. Sure, it would have been nice to see Team Flare before, but maybe they wanted it to be focused on Zygarde, and they really wanted to wait until, Zygarde complete, maybe throw in Ash Greninja as well in regards to the storyline, so they had to wait until the XY&Z series, before actually doing Team Flare, because they didn't want to focus on Xerneas and Eviltal. They wanted to focus on Zygarde, since Zygarde really never had a sole movie. Here's Zygarde in TV format. And because it was like peppered throughout all these episodes, and then we get like this massive 5 episode arc climax conclusion, starting at the end of the Kalos League, all the way up into this episode. It was just action, and everything was coming to a head and conclusion, and it still progressed further, and the XY&Z series had the ability to bring all of these characters that we've seen in the past and bring them in here. I mean, sure, the gym leaders didn't have a big major role in this particular arc or whatever. They just have like a couple of lines and they did their particular part. But the fact that they brought them in and did their own thing and helped or whatever. Sure, Shauna, Trevor, and Sawyer really didn't do very much. They only saw it on TV. But it was still nice to see all these characters come together and, help out in regards to the battle at Lumio City and everything. And, it's really nice that this whole thing started in Lumio City for the most part. And, we had the Zygarde Megalith trying to reach Anastar City. It was just really nice. Everything just came together. The animation was really nice. The scenes were really nice. There was just like really nothing that I could technically say that I disliked this episode, this entire Team Flare arc, outside of the fact that it was much better than the Kalos League, at least in my opinion. So yeah, that's all I have to really say in regards to that best conclusion ever. I don't think there will be anything better. Based on what I've seen in Sun and Moon anime, I honestly cannot think of any way that they could help counter what's happened in sixth generation in regards to that. I think this will always be number one until they rework the Pokemon series so it's similar to XY and XY&Z. Really love these episodes. But, it wasn't all good. There are some negative moments, but that didn't detract from the awesomeness that I experienced in regards to this particular episode. And of course, that was the fact that Ash, Greninja, and Pikachu were the only Pokemon on Ash's team that really had any role at the basically end of the conclusion, the climax, and everything like that. We saw them in the beginning, but that was because they were left out of their Pokeballs and chained, and Ash had no choice, but they got knocked out by Mega Gyarados. I still don't like that because, Noivern really hasn't done anything, and based on the episodes in the future, Noivern is still not going to do anything. You know, Gudra is going to go back to the wetlands, apparently, based on summaries for the episode. So it's a little disappointing that Gudra really didn't do anything more. Nice to bring it back, I guess, but still, they really didn't do anything. And then Talonflame and Halucha, kind of expected. They've done a lot, so it's understandable that they wouldn't get as much in regards to the episodes, but still, Noivern, the newcomer, and Gudra, the one that didn't stay very long on the show, I think deserved a little bit more screen time. But then again, the whole issue comes to, well, there's already so many Pokemon and trainers that even if Gudra and Noivern used like Boom Burst and Dragon Pulse or even Bide, what purpose would it serve in regards to that? So there is that to consider. So yeah, I don't think there's really anything else I can say. That it was just a really good conclusion in regards to Pokemon in terms of the villain team, and I enjoyed it, and I liked every part of it or whatever. So yeah, that's pretty much all I said. After this particular video, of course, is going to be the Clement episode, the Clembot being recovered, well, not completely recovered, but being rebuilt and challenging a trainer. And then, of course, that particular episode, I will do a review. I will also talk about an X, Y, and Z special that will happen after the Dedenne episode, running away, particular thing that I talked about when I talked about the upcoming episodes in regards to that, including the Clement episode that I still need to edit or whatever. So that's pretty much all that there is in regards to this particular video. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'm Dustin Benzel, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.